Well, I'm going to jump in and give you guys a little housing market update. So, of course, here, the research that I'm bringing to you is through the Heart of Kentucky MLS. It's all our local real estate market. We look at the whole Hardin County area. So, this past week in Hardin County, we saw 26 new listings. So, to give you an idea of the dates of that, that was December 29th through January 5th. So, 26 new homes came to the market. My assumption is they were kind of waiting until after New Year's and they've all hit. We actually had 11 homes go under contract in that same week. So there was a lot of buyers that have been waiting or looking for that right property. And 12 homes closed. So there's 12 families that moved into their new homes over the last week. Now, it's important to put that into context. This time of year is traditionally one of the slowest periods in real estate. Late December and early January are typically quieter, and we usually see buyer activity begin to pick up as we move into late January and February. So if you're looking to sell, now is a really great time to get in there and get your home ready and start evaluating your options. Because as we move late January, February, that's when you see the busiest season of home selling and home buying out of the entire year. And the average home is selling in 95 days right now. Now, to give you some context, of course, as I mentioned, this market is generally slower at this time of year. Earlier in the year, like in August, we were seeing more of a 70-day average. So that has creeped up just a little bit. But, for some information, we had a $1.2 million house. My team didn't, but there was a house that came on the market and it came on January 2nd and it was under contract by January 4th. So just to give you some idea, things, if they are priced correctly and they are presented well, things still move fairly quickly. When it comes to pricing over the last 30 days, I did pull a little bit bigger for this information. The average list price in our area was $341,259, while the average sold price came in at $299,926. That gap, what that gap tells us is that buyers are still price sensitive and negotiating. And so as a seller, you're going to be prepared that you're probably going to come off just a little bit, or there's going to be some type of concession included in the sale. A little interesting. So last week, we were sitting at roughly 4.5 months of inventory on the market. That has already dipped heading into January. So we dropped down to 4.2, not a major drop, but what that tells me is that things are doing as they are supposed to do, picking up a little bit, and the market is speeding up. For sellers, this means presentation and pricing are key. Homes that are priced right and show well are still moving, while overpriced homes are sitting. This is all you need to take from this. We are in an extremely balanced market. Anything over 5 months of inventory means it's a buyer's market. We're right there at 4.2. So it is not really a seller's market. It is not really a buyer's market. It is about proper pricing. It is about presentation. And on the buy side, you've got a lot of options. So there's about equal power on both sides right now. So we're seeing those homes still go quickly, but then 95 days on average is your sale time. So just be aware of that as you're entering the market, that yes, you do have power as a buyer, but we're still in a pretty balanced market. I wanted to touch a little bit. There's been a lot of conversation around the blue oval slowdown and how that could impact our local housing market. I've been asked this question a lot over the last couple of weeks. While it's still too early to point to any direct effect on how home prices, we can measure some trends in sales activity, inventory levels, and how quickly homes are moving to help us determine. Right now, the data does not show a major pullback. I think where we're experiencing that pullback is obviously in rentals. I think there's a lot of rentals that have opened up, and I think that impact there is being felt. But on the other hand, for those watching, if you are a renter, I think that could have some benefit, because I think when we saw Blue Oval come into the area, we saw a spike in those rent rates because there wasn't enough inventory. So not that this in any way is a benefit to our community, but I think what you're going to see is some of those rent rates come back into alignment with what they actually should be versus being inflated due to the amount of people that poured into our area rather suddenly. But right now in the housing market itself, the data does not show a major pullback. Buyer interest remains steady and inventory holding at a healthy level. So we'll be watching this information really closely over the next 60 to 90 days. Of course, we're going to measure this information weekly and bring it to you, and then we'll put that information into a tracker and evaluate if we're seeing a dip due to that. unfortunately, a lot of these things are measured in the past. Like we look in the rearview mirror and we can see the impact. It's kind of hard to judge how much of an impact we're going to experience looking forward. So we'll try to measure that and we'll bring that to you all in real time as we determine where we're seeing that impact. Markets don't shift overnight. They move in patterns. And as of today, the numbers still reflect stability here in Hardin County. As always, real estate is hyper-local. National headlines don't always tell the full story at home, and that's why we track the data weekly. I'll continue to keep you all updated as the market evolves. So yeah, that's my housing market update for you guys. So
Rachel, with you being in housing, and Kevin Parrott has pointed it out before. He's a very smart man, works at ECC. People forget that Hardin County and E-Town was in a housing market shortage before Blue Oval was ever a thing.
Correct.
As much as this is going to seem like I'm heartless saying this, it seems like because of the speed that all these apartments finally got built when we've been waiting years, if not decades, that there will be a correction somewhere down the line. Do you kind of see that?
I agree with you. Of course, I think, they all came to appeal to that growth that we were experiencing. But I do think, we needed those for a very long time. And what we're continuing to see, a lot of the clients that we're working with to either place in rentals and or homes, they're coming from out of state, right? And it's not always a military move. Sometimes it's just coming home. Sometimes it's the cost of living that's drawing them here. I mean, Elizabethtown is a great community. We're considered a suburb of Louisville. Nashville has gotten so big. Bowling Green is overflowing. So now people are transitioning this direction. I think we are a corridor for growth, and we've been that. I remember my dad telling me that as a little girl, that Elizabethtown would experience the growth that we're seeing today. And so I think it's a great place to live. It's a very safe community, great school district. So sure, I think this momentary adjustment with what's happening out at the Ford plant, it has its impact. I spoke with a seller the other day, and he was one of the team members that got laid off. And, it broke my heart for them as they try to adjust and figure out a new plan for income. But I do think that was something that was needed in our community. And I think that we're going to see rent rates come back into a more, consistent level playing field where people can afford to actually be in a home again. We manage almost 400 rentals in Hardin County. We thankfully have not seen a major exodus. All of ours are staying full, but we are speaking to our owners that, hey, there's some adjustments that have to be made due to the amount of options that are available. So I think it's a good thing. It's not good. Hopefully we see that plant repurposed and massive growth continues in our community. But I agree, Nate. I think it was addressing an issue that was already present before all of this happened.
I mean, that's kind of the way that I saw it. I've heard it for years that people couldn't move in. And I actually, for where I work, we did lose some people that went to Blue Oval, but they didn't move. I mean, they were already Hardin County going to Shepherdsville.
Yeah.
And some of them have already found jobs again because there are so many warehouse jobs in Shepherdsville, and they pay pretty well. I've told you all, I'm very happy doing what I do. So it wasn't like it's not like we got 5,000 people moving to Blue Oval overnight, all from out of state, all from out of Hardin County, because that's not what happened. There were some, and there were, like I know somebody mentioned to me that they came from Tennessee to take a job and then lost the job 3 months later, and that sucks. It's hard, but it wasn't like we just had this influx of people that have nowhere to go, because that wasn't really the case. But on the flip side, it did help the market with all the apartments that are going on right behind the mall or the Jewel, but hopefully it fixes the prices. But I think we all agree that that's a little bit too pricey for our blood. But I think eventually, the prices will come down.
I think so as well. All right. Any other questions about the housing market before we jump in with Nate? All right. How many months of inventory, guys? I'm kidding.
4.2.
Oh, look at Phil listening. I'm so impressed.
95 days on the market.
I like it. Y'all are going to be able to talk like realtors when you leave this podcast.
Oh, shit.